Now, I think that everybody has at least one unique talent, at least one thing they excel at. I believe that my unique talent and what I do better than anything else is hustle. Now, for me, hustle is what you get when ambition meets resilience and tenacity. It's the thing that propels you to make something out of nothing. But the environment from which you come can have a huge influence on the manner in which you choose to express your hustle. I come from an environment where the visual landscape was dominated by drug addicts, winos, and prostitutes. Most of the people there lived in distressed, low-income housing and were either on welfare or some other form of government assistance. But at the center of everything were drugs. Now, there were many ambitious minds in this environment, and almost everyone had hustle. But most chose to express their hustle in an illegal manner. These were street hustlers. The single most influential person in my life, my mother, was a street hustler. And in the household in which I was raised, so were all of the adults. In the 80s, almost every male in my extended family sold drugs. Actually, they were drug dealers, who to me were these larger-than-life figures. My earliest childhood memories are of triple beam scales used to weigh outrageous amounts of cocaine, stacks of money, and the monotonous sound of money counters buzzing all day and night, and the smell of cocaine being cooked in a crack. This environment would have a huge influence on my aspirations. And since before I could even remember, I knew exactly what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a street hustler. Now, I've probably tried any and everything you can think of to make money. But the overwhelming majority of my time was spent selling drugs. This is how I chose to express my hustle. But street hustling taught me undeniable principles that at the time I wasn't even aware of. For instance, I developed an intimate understanding of products and supply and demand and what it meant to satisfy a customer's perceived needs. I also learned valuable lessons about operations and distribution and managing inventory. But this isn't just unique to my experience. It's actually pretty common for street hustlers to pick up these very real principles. Unfortunately, in this environment, you don't get the time to ponder on the lessons life teaches you. Now, for all of the things you pick up in the streets from hustling, there remains three basic realities. The first reality, the shelf life of a hustler is extraordinarily short. Undeniably, this life is illegal and very dangerous. So the fate of a hustler is always death or incarceration. The second reality is that street hustling is extremely immoral. My worst moment as a human being came during my time hustling in the streets. One time, I sold crack to a pregnant girl, a teenage black pregnant girl. To this day, I remember exactly what she was wearing. The way her hair was styled, the plastic neon bracelet on her wrist, and the look in her eyes when I put that rock in her hand. You see, the mentality of a street hustler is rooted in exploitation. Integrity, character, all that goes out the window. You quickly learn to use people's weaknesses to your advantage. Now, the third reality is that most street hustlers have been living this life for so long, it becomes all they know. They literally can't see themselves doing anything else. Now, this would be the case for me. And it would be my refusal to walk away from this life that would eventually lead to my incarceration for assault with a firearm. Now, being incarcerated gave me time to reflect. I realized that I had become a virus that infected and corrupted virtually everything that I came into contact. This was a sobering realization and would be the motivating force behind me wanting to do something positive with my life. And I'll commit to this. But even though I knew I was finished with the street life, I still had a problem. You see, I still had hustle. I still was very ambitious. And I could not find any occupation that I could actually see myself doing when I got out of prison that would allow me to satisfy this ambition. This would prove to be problematic, and I would spend years searching for a solution. Fortunately, a solution would finally present itself when I arrived here at San Quentin. San Quentin provided me with the opportunity to further my education for free. And I've taken a number of business-related college courses. During this time, I discovered entrepreneurship. Now, there was something very familiar about entrepreneurship. I found that entrepreneurs had hustle. These are people who routinely take risks and embark on endeavors that demand that they think on their feet, trust their gut, and do whatever it takes to make it happen. I then learned, to my surprise, that not only were many key entrepreneurial principles things I had unknowingly picked up in the street, but also many of the same characteristics that make a successful entrepreneur are what make a successful hustler. For example, both are self-starters who are highly ambitious, adaptive, resourceful, and tenacious. And that's what it hit me. I had found my solution. It was entrepreneurship. And it was perfect because I found I was uniquely equipped to pursue this profession. I already possessed many of the same characteristics of a successful entrepreneur. My time as a street hustler had allowed me to unknowingly internalize a number of key entrepreneurial principles. And most importantly, entrepreneurship allowed me to satisfy my ambition by letting me use my strongest asset, my hustle, in a productive way. This revelation would lead to my fixation and obsession even with entrepreneurship. And soon I would start to think about how this could benefit others like me. You see, I've come to believe that entrepreneurship is the vehicle that can allow all street hustlers to successfully transition out of the street life. And I think the most effective way to get them to buy into this idea is by using incarcerated street hustlers to convince them. Think about it. Being incarcerated will have given these street hustlers the time to reflect and truly grasp how damaging the street life is. So they'll be much more receptive to this idea. Also, the fact that they've been incarcerated will be to their advantage. You see, doing time is something that's actually glorified in the street life. So once they've been released, they'll be able to use the fact that they've been in prison to gain credibility. And it will be this credibility that will allow them to spread this idea to others. In addition to this, entrepreneurship also provides incarcerated street hustlers with a valuable tool that will help to keep them from reoffending. Now, this has already been proven. Here at San Quentin, a program called The Last Mile teaches prisoners to transform ideas into viable businesses using entrepreneurship. To date, graduates from this program who have been released back into society have a 0% recidivism rate. So with that, I say that it's time that we all expanded our perceived utility of entrepreneurship. Let's look at this as more than just a business concept. Let's also look at it as a rehabilitative tool that will equip street hustlers with the means to transform their potential. Thank you.